Alright, if you're watching this, this is the how-to video, informal how-to video for the soundboard up at Avoca Christian Church's KidzTown media room. I want to point out that we have a couple of things I want to go over real quick, starting with the computer volume. This isn't really volume so much in the sense that we're thinking of it as sort of an output level. So this we recommend that we don't set this any higher than 50. The PA system will take care of the volume, so we don't want to use this to control the volume in any way, shape, or form. Now, moving over to the soundboard, we have two knobs down at the bottom. This is for the amplifier, and this also controls output to the speakers. If this speaker is turned too high, there will be an overload, and if it's turned too low, there will be no sound coming out of the speakers. One or two channels may even be missing while the others are intact. So keep them at the same level. I recommend that we keep it at sound level 22. Before we go any further, I do want to point out the power levels, or the power switches rather, on the soundboard. There's one here, and there's one down here. It's very important that we turn this off in a particular order, turn it on in a particular order, or we could blow the speakers. So what we want to do is we want to turn this off and on first. We turn off, when we're turning it off, we want to turn off the amplifier sound, and then we turn off the soundboard. And when we go in reverse, we want to turn this on first, because there will be a blast of sound that would come through the speakers and blow it out. Then we turn this one on. So that's important to bear in mind. The next thing I want to point out is there is a 5-disc changer CD player in the middle rack here. It does turn off and on. It does work. I do want to point it out. We don't use it very much in KidzTown, but I do want to point out that it is here in case we do use it. It does have a volume control up top, which I will demonstrate in a minute. Moving on up, I want to point out our sliders. Now this main mix, people, including myself, have used this as the volume control. We don't want to think of these as the volume control. These are sort of level controls. This one controls all the bass sounds, and this one controls all the treble sounds. So the setting is sort of where I like it. And certainly in terms of the output to the speakers, that's probably about as high as you'd want to put them. Now this sub slider here, both of these sub sliders here are at a particular level. They're below this line. If they go any higher, then it'll sound, there'll be a lot of reverb coming out of the speakers, almost sounding like an echo. Some of us have heard that before. It almost sounds like you're in an echo chamber when these are too high. So don't use those to control the volume. Your volume is here. We have 3 controllers, one for the DVD, one for the laptop, and one for the 5-disc changer. Now, these sliders will control the volume. We'll need to make sure that the main buttons on each one are pressed in, and that the top 2 buttons for the sub and the peak volume are not pressed, so they should be sticking out. They should be not recessed. So bearing those settings in mind, I also want to point out that we have stereo outputs now on the top of the soundboard. That should control all the channels that we have. We should have stereo sound back into the speakers as a result of this setup. Now, when we play our sound from the laptop, for example, I'll go ahead and play that. You can hear the sound coming out of the speakers, and that's controlled by the volume is controlled by this slider. Again, don't touch these sliders. The volume is controlled through here. So we'll go ahead and pause this. We don't have to touch any of the sliders. We don't have to turn them down to use any of the others. We just have to make sure no output is coming from any other source. If we're using the DVD, we don't want to make sure that the laptop is not playing anything at the moment. So moving over to the DVD, we'll go ahead and press play, and we should see here that when we get the sound to come up here, that this is also clearly controlled by this slider, which is clearly marked DVD. Let's see. Moving the slider. And again, that would be true for the 5-disc changer as well, but it's not on right now. So I wanted to conclude my video. I apologize if you're tired of listening to my voice, or I bored you to tears, but it's my hope that if we pay attention to these levels, that we can maintain the quality of the sound in this room, as well as having to tweak it every time we want to use it. If we just follow these basic levels, I think we'll be able to accomplish that. Thank you so much for your time. Have a good night.